Hello and welcome to another edition of our weekly interview with Dr. David Schwartz, Director of the Center for Gaming Research at UNLV. And I'm Craig Shacklett, CEO of URComped. I say weekly, but we had to skip last week for our Meetup at Sea event, which was awesome. Did you enjoy it, Dr. Dave?
I loved it. It was great. I really like meeting the players, so it was pretty cool, and great cruise line too. So what's not to love?
Yeah, we had a blast. We were on Royal Caribbean. And what was cool, the players all loved your talks, and what I've probably enjoyed as much or more than the talks was the Q&A afterward. Players were just asking you random questions about Bugsy Siegel, or is it true about this? And then, just hearing you riff on those stories was really cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, that's the thing I think I like most about speaking is not always the talk, which is always fun, but that interplay with the audience. And it's great when you have a great audience and they're really into the topic and they know the topic. That's always makes it a lot better.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, thanks for doing that. Hopefully we can do some more in the near future. But in the meantime, we're going to keep rocking and rolling these interviews. And I really love this, the most recent article that you wrote in Forbes. And I think it struck a chord with a lot of people. So, yeah, why don't you give us an overview of what your article was about?
Okay, so while we were on the cruise, I was reading all kinds of headlines about how the Vegas casino stocks were getting hammered because they did their conference calls and they had a bad second quarter, relatively speaking. So I decided to write a little bit about this. Why did it happen? What's the historical context? What does it mean? And what's going to happen going forward? So basically, RevPAR, which is the big metric they use, which is revenue per available room, is down on the Strip and also downtown, but I focused on the Strip here. And that's kind of a big deal because since people gamble so many other places, regional casinos, local casinos, cruise ships, everywhere else, now they say, they don't really go by gaming revenues, it's revenue per available room, which includes all the dining and entertainment and all that. So that's down. So this is pretty bad news because that doesn't usually go down. The big companies said they had to lower their room rates to keep people coming, which is also bad news because usually they like the room rates to go up. And more than that, usually when they lower room rates, you don't see the other areas rise. So if they lower the room rate by $20, people generally speaking don't spend $20 more at dinner. What they found during the recession is you'll get people coming to your hotel who aren't going to pay what you want them to pay for the food and beverage, so they'll go out and get pizza and stuff like that. So they're not discounting that much where you're in that predicament, but still, they really don't like lowering room rates.
No, and you're right. And what was so interesting was, I think you mentioned in the article, this is the first time when it wasn't a recession that there's a dip in Las Vegas. Normally it's a perfect correlation between a strong economy and strong revenues in Vegas. And this is an anomaly because the economy is booming, yet Vegas is going the opposite direction.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting because historically, and I have a Excel spreadsheet with all these numbers somewhere, there is a direct correlation between unemployment being low and consumer confidence being high and Nevada gaming revenue going up. That has changed, and that's been changing since the recession. With the recession, we saw the revenue dive as unemployment went up and confidence went down, and we didn't really see it come back. And now they're going up more than ever, and gaming, the month was okay, mostly because of better baccarat hold for Vegas, but all the other numbers are kind of going down. So to me, that would worry me.
It would be really interesting if you had the access to the numbers to just see that those two charts next to each other, consumer confidence and Las Vegas revenue or RevPAR, whatever, but then show a couple of the things that you mentioned in the article, resort fees go in here, and then parking fees, and then 3 to 2, if you can pinpoint certain dates and then show as those two lines start to diverge from each other. Because I imagine you make a compelling point in the article that these nickel and diming things, or these ideas that these casinos are coming up with, are really what's causing people to not come to Vegas and as much as they used to.
Yeah, I think it's really an incremental thing, and it's not like you're going to go to Vegas and have a great time and then get hit with a resort fee and like, oh, I'm never coming back again. Or you go to Vegas and have a great time, but there's a parking fee. That wouldn't do it. But when you pile a parking fee on top of the resort fee, on top of all the inconvenience, on top of, room prices going up, on top of worse gambling conditions, on top of more expensive restaurants, I think that all adds up. And eventually people just say, screw it, I'm going to go somewhere else. And on Twitter, I had quite a few people told me that's exactly what they're doing. So seems like and I know that's just anecdotal, blah, 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 but I mean, there are real people who come to Vegas and they're not coming here as much anymore. So it's more than anecdotal.
Absolutely. In the service industry, I started my career at Harrah's, which now Caesars, of course, and they talked a lot about surprise and delight moments, right? With the customer interaction, you try to find ways to surprise and delight the customer. And I think that's probably not just at Harrah's. I'm sure all of them look for ways to, like a chocolate on the pillow type thing, or just so somebody remembering your name. Those are surprise and delight moments. And all these little nickel and dime things that they do are like the total opposite, right? I don't know what the opposite of surprise and delight, like surprise and disappoint, maybe shock. Yeah, shock and piss
annoyance.
off.
It's just annoyance, I think. And you go to Las Vegas or you go anywhere to get away from annoyance, and why would you want to come to a place that's going to be annoying you and nickel and diming you? I don't know. And I guess, again, if you really love Vegas, you'll be willing to come back for some things, and like, well, yeah, the parking's expensive or we have to pay for the parking, but it's not that bad. But when you just get them all piled on top of each other, I think people reach the breaking point. And it would be fascinating to find out exactly what is the exact moment that somebody just says, I'm not coming back right away.
Well, exactly. And I think it's the moments is the point I was making is that there's all these Vegas is fun. There's a lot of you see a show, that's a positive moment. You walk down the strip and see something funny, that's a positive moment. But then now there's more and more negative moments, right? Oh, a resort fee, what the hell? I got to pay for parking. Oh, I got some random CNF fee or whatever, these random fees that are popping up. Oh, blackjack's now 6-5 instead of 3-2. And those are negative experience moments. And when you look back on the trip, it's like, yeah, all right, the strip was fun. I hit some small whatever, there's a few good moments, but then when you reflect back, it's like, man, that sucked. And I got surprised by that fee and that fee and that fee. And so it's just too many of those bad moments. And we talked about the cruise business growing. And what I think they do a good job of is that pretty much everything is up front, right? They're like, this is what it's going to cost, and this is taxes and port fees. And if you want to just eat at the buffet and the free restaurants, it's literally all you have to pay, right? But if you want to eat at a premium restaurant, it's going to cost this much, and drinks are probably going to be expensive. So you go in with both, your eyes wide open, knowing what's going to be. And people like it because they can kind of relax, they know what their costs are going to be. Whereas with Vegas, it's like next time I go, or for the random traveler, next time they go, it's hard for them to know how much they're going to spend because there's new fees popping up, and they may lose faster than they thought because the odds on the games are going down, so they're not getting as much gambling enjoyment. It's not a good trend for Vegas, and something like this where it's the perception that's changing. That's a hard thing to reverse, right? It took a while for it to change from the hangover to super fun, you party in Vegas, to all of a sudden it being man, it's kind of a ripoff. How do you steer it back the other way?
It is really tough, especially because they're not going to spend money promoting the affordable stuff. No, they're not going to do a national advertising campaign talking about Circus and how cheap the rooms are and how accessible it is for people. They're going to be promoting the really glitzy stuff, the really new stuff that's expensive. So it's kind of really tough. I think word of mouth is the best way to do it. But to do that, you have to consistently really over deliver. So that's, I think, the problem they find themselves in.
Well, to your point about your Twitter posts, how many people are responding to being yeah, it sucks now. I'm not going back anymore. I mean, that's the narrative, right? In the word of mouth, it's Vegas is overpriced and it's a ripoff. It's not, oh man, I had so much fun seeing that show. That's such a pleasant surprise. Yeah, it's kind of scary. And I've been saying it for a while now. Like people always ask me, oh, you work in the casino business, man, Vegas is booming, blah, blah. And I'm like, honestly, I would, if I were an investor, I'd short Vegas. Like just because of that perception that I keep hearing, the feedback I'm hearing from more and more players, because they don't like to gamble there anymore because the odds are worse than they get at their local casino. Food and beverage is just like ridiculously priced, and I don't know. I mean, I hope Vegas, like, because I think the thing that Vegas has right now that no one can recreate anywhere in the world is like that buzz of the Strip, right? Just that energy, and hopefully they save. I don't know. They'd be really tough for them to screw that up, but if perception keeps getting worse and they respond to like bad revenue by trying to jack prices up even more, then it's like there's no one to people watch on the Strip, and then you're really screwed.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really difficult problem, but I think a lot of it's of their own making. And you just keep on chipping away at that value proposition, and there's no value proposition left. So I think that's kind of what's happened, and I'm sure the revenues will go up again. Once the fall happens, more convention groups come in and it'll be, oh, we saved it. But, this shouldn't be happening with the economy doing as well as it is. People should be having trouble getting seats and planes to Vegas. They shouldn't be lowering room rates to this level.
I think the the Raiders, that'll help, right? Because that's a unique experience, right? Something that kind of Vegas only, I shouldn't say Vegas only has, because there's a lot of people that make a trip if their team is playing the Saints. They'll be like, oh, let's go to New Orleans, let's go out there. I mean, so it's not totally unique to have a destination city with an NFL team, but I think that will help be a draw again. Hopefully they get an NBA team there. I mean, that'll be a draw, but yeah, I mean, you look for things that Vegas has that no one else in the world has. It used to be gambling, and now, of course, that's not the only thing. It used to be, and then it was like restaurants. Like there's nowhere where there's as much of a concentration of high-end restaurants, and that may still be the case, but a lot more cities are becoming foodie cities, and I don't know. I hope Vegas can keep that dynamism. That's a word, right? Dynamism.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, that they have, and they don't kill the golden goose as so many people have.
Yeah, I mean that's the issue. That's really the issue there.
So I wonder what the breaking point is, like with Caesars stock dropping 20-something%, MGM stock taking a hit. Like, how far does the stock have to fall, or revenues have to fall before they're like, shoot, we really need to sell off a property on the Strip. We need cash.
Well, you'd have to have a buyer, and if the stock is dropping, and if RevPAR is dropping, it's really hard to find a buyer. So that's the issue. Somebody's got to be bullish enough to want to get in. And, are there companies that could do that? Yeah. Would they want to at that multiple? I don't know. So it's kind of a difficult position. I don't think it comes down to that. I think it just comes down to trying to manage the properties they have better and be more responsive to customers.
I know. Oh, like the cost structures, I wonder how much flexibility they have. I mean, with revenue going down, a lot of that cost though is just debt from built, and that's not going anywhere unless you declare bankruptcy, which Caesars already did. MGM, I avoided it, but
they did, yeah.
But then staff, I don't know. I mean, they're all union. They can't cut wages. That one's pretty locked in too, right? It's hard to.
Well, this is the article I'm working on for Thursday.
Oh,
which is the robot invasion of Las Vegas.
And that must have been a huge negotiation point in the last.
Yes, it was. And I think, this is another thing where there's a lot of optimism that it'll do well, but they don't really know. Talk to a professor who kind of has a little bit of a contrarian view, so it'll be great to get her viewpoints in there. So that's going to be a really interesting article about the robot invasion of Las Vegas. And I think that's kind of where they're at, where they're looking to, if you look at what they're, and if I had more room in the article, I could have gone on and on and on, so at the conference call, MGM has like 10 properties, depending on how you count them, 9, 10, 11 properties here. Most of the emphasis wasn't on the strip is doing great. It's on we're going into Massachusetts and we're doing sports betting, we're doing this, and Japan's a possibility. So it's kind of where the city was back when Macau was a big possibility and people weren't talking about Vegas so much. It seems like we've gotten back there already. It's kind of a quick turnaround.
Now, did they bring up the robot stuff on the MGM call?
No, well, not that I'm aware of, but that's just something else I've been working on.
Interesting. Yeah, I think we're going to see, my guess is that revenues aren't going to pick up. Vegas, the MGM and Caesars are going to start sweating, and I think something is going to get sold to a tribe. Is my prediction. That probably a Seminole tribe, but who knows? One of these cash-rich tribes are going to come up and pay basically asking price for some strip property, and just to get on the strip.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that a couple of weeks ago. I said Rio might be a really good candidate to become a Hard Rock if the Seminoles buy it. So that's certainly a possibility. And you've got a lot of other stuff too. So I think that definitely could happen.
Now, I wouldn't buy, I mean, the Rio with the Palms putting so much money into being like the luxury off-strip property. I feel like anything off-strip, like that it makes everything off-strip less appealing for a purchaser because it's like,
yeah,
if I'm going to compete off the strip, I got to outspend Palms or do something better than them. Like, why not just buy something on the strip?
Yeah. So I don't know, and do they buy something and rename it Hard Rock? I don't know what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they do.
Who owns Hooters?
I think a private investment group.
Okay. Because let's see, what do you think would be the candidates on the strip to get sold? Like, all right, let's say Caesars. If they were like, obviously they want to sell Rio, but who knows who wants to buy Rio? Let's see, they've got Flamingo, Planet Hollywood, probably nothing on the Link Promenade nothing touching that would ever get sold.
I highly doubt they would sell anything there in that quadrant because they're building their whole convention center there. That's their whole strategy. Maybe Planet Hollywood is expendable if they get the right multiple. Maybe.
And then with MGM, and that makes sense, yeah, because that's the only one that's not directly touching that Link Promenade, right, in the convention center.
Yeah.
Okay, and then
Bally's and Paris are tied together. You lose Bally's and Paris, you lose that whole corner there. So that's where they've got 3 properties, so that kind of doesn't do them any favors. And then Planet Hollywood is kind of isolated. I think maybe Planet Hollywood is what they would sell if they could find a buyer willing to pay a price.
Especially with Britney gone and.
Well, yeah, but they've got. I think Gwen Stefani's in now.
Yeah, good point.
Or not.
Okay, so our prediction for if a Caesars property gets sold is Planet Hollywood. Now, the MGM side. I mean, they just dumped a ton into Park, and that's touching so anything T-Mobile is not going anywhere. Bellagio's off the table.
Yeah.
I mean, the Circus is way out there.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else? Anything else? Excalibur
Mirage.
Or Mirage? Yeah, that'd be a good one.
But you can't rename the Mirage. I mean.
Right, but I mean, they sold Treasure Island, right?
But you could. So if I was going to say they want to buy something, rename it Hard Rock, Mirage would be really tough to turn that into a Hard Rock. I don't know. Maybe I'm just sentimental, but it's just such a significant property.
Nah, that's a good point. So if the Seminoles bought it, whoever they'd buy, they want to be able to rebrand it to Hard Rock. But there's other tribes out there that have money. But you're right, Mirage would be a great one for somebody to buy. And then, what else? There's Excalibur. Oh, Mandalay Bay.
Yeah. But then, you have the whole Mandalay Mile there. So, do you want to break that up? Do you want to sell the whole thing? What do you do?
Yeah. It's interesting.
It's and Excalibur kind of ties into the arena now, in the T-Mobile. It's pretty good proximity.
Yeah. And Excalibur, you're definitely not rebranding that a Hard Rock.
No, probably not. I guess you could. They did it to the Taj, so I guess they could do it anywhere.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, it's like Monopoly. It's fun thinking about that, playing that game. So, let's see. We've got Caesars down 20%. I guess we got 3 months to see what the next earning call is like they advise people. They tried to lower expectations already on that call. They said, hey, Q3 is not going to be any better, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of disturbing because usually it's all optimism and everything is doing better than it's ever done, and it's kind of strange when they suddenly say it's not going to be better.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that'll be interesting to see how it goes. Did they talk about any of the regional properties, Caesars? Like, are they optimistic? Did you listen to the call?
No, I didn't really listen to the whole conference call. But, basically it was the same thing where rough summer, we've lowered room rates a little bit, but we have good convention bookings going forward, which is what they always say. I mean, they've been saying that for 10 years, since 2008. I mean, literally and once I went through and kind of got the transcripts of a series of conference calls, and literally every 3 months, well, we have very strong convention bookings looking forward. It's like amazing. And nobody ever says, but you said that last year, and it's kind of funny.
And then Resorts World, that's still on track for
that's coming. Yeah, that's
2019, 2020. 2020.
Yeah.
And then the Drew, are they the
I don't know a lot about that. I think they're kind of keeping quiet, which I guess all the properties do because they don't like to talk. But that's pretty quiet. But I guess that could be 2022.
And that convention center, when's that going to open on the north end, or the expansion or whatever?
Do not know that, but I would guess, if they're starting work now, in a couple years.
And SLS, are they doing any major renovations, or SLS just new ownership and they're just kind of...
They're going to do a rebrand. They may be bringing the Sahara name back.
Okay.
And what's the other? Oh, yeah, the Globe. I think it's called the Globe, the thing that Sands is doing behind the Venetian, partnership with MSG, that new arena.
Yeah.
I think it's called the Sphere, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, that looks awesome.
Be a big deal. And I don't even know if they started working on that yet.
And then on the far north end, we've got, actually the big news on the Wynn, which, maybe you're going to write an article about it at some point, with Phil Satre, the old Harrah's CEO, becoming chairman of the board.
Yeah. I mean, good for him.
Yeah.
And good for Wynn too, because he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's a sharp dude. And then who is it that owns the Stratosphere now? Golden
Entertainment. So PT's Pubs, for people who live in Vegas, PT's Pubs, and they've got a lot of other properties, and they're really growing too as a company.
Yeah, I've heard they're a really smart organization. They're picking up steam pretty quick. Have they had their earnings, or do you know how they're doing?
I do not know. That I do not know.
Yeah, because they seem sharp. Not that anybody else doesn't seem sharp, but it just seems like they're acquiring a lot and they're growing the right way. And then, El Dorado and Reno, I wonder if that company will try to get in on the Strip. We talked about Tribes earlier, but...
Yeah, that'll be fascinating if El Dorado did. I mean, they've been in such a growth mode. So that's really, that would be what they do, I would guess. It's kind of funny. It's a shame that Penn National already bought the Tropicana, because otherwise they could buy Tropicana and kind of reunite the Tropicanas, because they own the Tropicana in Atlantic City now and a couple other Tropicanas. So that's a shame, but I guess that's not going to happen.
I mean, does Tropicana have that much brand? I don't know. Like, Penn National, they bought the Tropicana on the Strip, but do you think it still has positive name recognition? I guess it does. I mean, everyone.
Yeah, I would hope it does.
Yeah. Anyway, cool. Anything else that we didn't touch on?
I think we hit it all.
Okay. All right. So, Vegas executives, if you're listening, lower prices. I think resort fees, I assume people have come to terms with it by now, but...
Yeah, but it doesn't mean they like it. But I think it's beyond lowering prices, and not just, change the parking fee from $12 to $8. It's get rid of the parking fee and give people good... I just can't imagine how disappointing it would be to plan your trip to Vegas and you're a blackjack player and you get to Vegas and you can't find a game.
Yeah, can't find a 3-2 game.
Or you're a craps player and you can't find the odds you want. It's like, oh, come on, really? That would be sad. I mean, basically, people are lining up to give money to the casino. Just give them what they want.
Right. Yep. I have a theory. I can't remember. I already said it, but it's like you price out that younger demographic, then like the eye candy that the older, richer, old rich guys want to see, they're going to be gone, right? So like you get the young 20 something, beautiful people. They go out if they can afford it, and then they'll see them on the strip, and then, but if they're not showing up anymore, the rich guys that go to the Las Vegas to like see all the beautiful people while they're gambling and buying expensive meals, they're not going to go there anymore. 'Cause it's anyway. All right, Dr. Dave. Well, this was fun. I'm looking forward to reading your next article.
Thanks. Robot invasion.
Robot invasion. All right, I'll be ready. Until next week. Thank you, Dr. Dave.
Thank you.